An I-Team investigation has uncovered a problem in the top-selling truck in America and 7 other popular models.
A problem potentially costing consumers millions of dollars. Our Hagit Lamore joins us now with details. Hagit?
Well, it's a problem many Ford customers only now are discovering on 2004 to 2008 models. That's because Ford's instructions tell owners to wait till 100,000 miles to change the spark plugs. Many of those vehicles just now are hitting that mark with what could be a huge sticker shock for their millions of owners.
It's just ridiculous for that amount of money.
Steve Kramer wants to know how something this small,
Plugs normally are about $3 a piece,
can cause such a big problem.
It's going to cost a few $1,000s.
Just to replace the spark plugs. In the top-selling truck in America.
This is an F on an otherwise, an A vehicle, and it's a big F.
What Kramer's discovered, the I-Team's uncovered as an emerging problem across the country.
There's $750 sitting on the table.
To get these out right there.
A problem with spark plugs. Kramer found out the hard way.
I've always changed my own plugs in every vehicle that I've had.
Not this time. After a friend told him the plugs in Ford F-150s were difficult to replace, Kramer started calling mechanics, thinking at most he'd pay.
I was expecting $250.
And instead you heard up to $1,500.
Up to $1,500, and even then, 2 of the shops wouldn't guarantee the work.
What do you mean?
That if something went wrong and a piece of material got down in the cylinder head and they had to pull the cylinder head, that could be another $2,000 on top of that.
Kramer pointed us here to an auto shop he called in Western Hills, dealing with what mechanics around the country now know. How common is this problem with this particular engine?
Well, potentially this will happen every time. The best technician with the most experience will still have them break.
What happens in the 3-valve engine Ford designed and installed in 2004 to 2008 F-150s involves the spark plugs deep inside. Mechanics say when they try to remove them, often the top half breaks off. It takes special tools to remove the bottom half, but even then, sometimes small pieces break and fall into the engine cylinder.
Worst case scenario, severe engine damage. What should be $500 could easily be $800, could be $2,000. It could be a half-a-day project. It could be here for a week.
It's not just the 2004 to 2008 F-150s. Ford installed the same engine with the same spark plugs in the 2005 to 2008 Mustang, F-Super Duty Expedition, and Lincoln Navigator, the 2006 to 2008 Explorer, Lincoln Mark LT, and Mercury Mountaineer, and the 2007 to 2008 Explorer Sport Track.
If you're doing a tune-up, there's 9 times out of 10 that spark plug on a particular cylinder could break off. Maurice
Jackson owns John Nolan, a service center that until recently was a Ford dealership where he ran the shop and managed the Ford certified mechanic. Jackson is one of a dozen independent and Ford dealership mechanics and service managers who confirmed problems with these spark plugs.
Probably just the way it's designed.
It's cold crimped and corrosion will build up on the bottom. So when you try to twist it out, it would lock up and break.
If anyone should know, it's Airport Ford's Steve Kraft. He came in second in the nation in Ford's Master Technician Contest and served as one of only 22 dealership mechanics from around the country on Ford's Technician Review Panel, flying to Detroit to talk to Ford's engineers about problems.
They brought this up and told us what they thought and wanted to get our ideas.
Kraft says Ford didn't just know about this problem. The company's engineers already had invented a special tool to extract plugs that broke. Other manufacturers now make their own versions. And Ford took another step. It issued this 11-page technical service bulletin with special spark plug removal instructions just to address this problem.
That's one of the only ones I got out of this Ford. The rest of the 7 broke.
Now, videos are popping up all over the internet as more owners are discovering this cost, many complaining on sites like FordF150.net and ConsumerAffairs.com. They're complaining to the government, too. The I-Team made a public records request with the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, a division of the Department of Transportation that tracks car safety issues. We plugged in the agency's case numbers and watched complaint after complaint, $1,800, $2,200, customers not mincing their words, blaming, quote, Ford's design flaw, quote, spark plugs should be recalled, and, quote, this is a major problem. One we took to Ford World Headquarters outside Detroit.
We asked Ford for an interview. A company spokeswoman said no. She said Ford already has addressed all these issues in that last technical services bulletin and invented that special tool to remove the spark plugs, the very tool with which even Ford dealership mechanics continue to break the plugs. Ford calls it a routine service matter. That's not what expert mechanics tell the I-Team.
Is there any other engine that you have this problem with?
No. This is not a random problem. This is a systematic problem, and that's the problem.
It's just this individual style.
Steve Kraft agrees it's just this spark plug, but he defends Ford.
They took care of the problem and came up with a solution.
Kraft says since the new tool and Ford's instructions, the number of plugs he's breaking is down dramatically.
Came up with a pretty good way. I'm pretty successful at getting them all out. Some people aren't.
But Kraft admits it still costs more to change out these plugs than most other vehicles. And with so many mechanics continuing to have issues, a growing number of owners face unexpected expenses.
It's a consumer nightmare.
Now, class action lawsuits are popping up across the country. A Cincinnati attorney, in fact, stands as the lead contact for the largest so far, which represents Ford owners in 24 states. Ford did send us an email after our visit to Detroit saying we cannot speculate as to why some are still having problems changing the plugs, and no motor vehicle manufacturer routinely discloses to everyone all of the maintenance costs that might be higher than average. Ford also said there is no safety or other issue that would justify a recall. We have all of their comments on WCPO.com. And one final but very important note, we found a wide variety of prices when we asked for quotes. In fact, Airport Ford was some of the lowest prices that we found, so you really should call around because it's worth it. Carol?
Great story, Hagit. Thanks.